Hi folks, HR Funk here. Out on the range again with part 2 of my video review of the Springfield Armory SOCOM16 rifles. Now in part 1 of this video, I took a look at two different SOCOM16s, this being one of them, which is outfitted with the Aimpoint red dot optic, and the other one having a black synthetic stock with a forward mounted variable power scope. In that video, I reviewed the features of these two SOCOM16s. I also went out to the range, zeroed the optics, and did a little bit of 100-yard shooting to take a look at the accuracy. In this video, I want to do some different things with the SOCOM16s. To begin with, I'm going to be taking a look at the velocity, and specifically the velocity loss we get between the full-length M14 style rifle and this cut-down 16-inch barrel on the SOCOM16. I'm also going to be using this SOCOM16 for a little bit more of what this platform was intended for, that being close-in, rapid-fire CQB type engagements. And also, before things are all said and done, I want to go back out to the long range with the other SOCOM16 and give it another try in terms of its accuracy. In that first video, the ammunition I was using was really not very good. It was just surplus 7.62mm NATO ammunition. So I want to give that another try with some better quality ammunition. I don't think either one of these two SOCOM16s really got a chance to demonstrate their accuracy potential, and I just want to revisit that and see how it looks, or how specifically the black stocked SOCOM16 looks with that better grade ammunition. So here we go. And first up, I'm going to be shooting the full-length rifle with 5 rounds of that same surplus 7.62 NATO ammunition that I was using in the last video, just to establish a baseline for velocity. Then I'm going to shoot that same ammunition out of the 16-inch SOCOM. After that, I'm going to switch over to my match load for this rifle and fire 5 rounds of that, and then also fire 5 more rounds of the match ammo out of the 16-inch SOCOM barrel. So let's see how the velocity compares between the full-length rifle and the short length of the SOCOM16. And for anyone who's interested, the chronograph is 10 feet in front of the rifle's muzzle, and the current temperature is about 70 degrees, and I am about 1,000 feet, give or take, above sea level. And here's the tail of the chronograph with the full-size rifle and that 7.62 NATO ammunition. We had an average velocity of 2,783 feet per second with a maximum spread of almost 38 feet per second and a standard deviation of 15. And with the SOCOM16, using that same ammunition, we had an average velocity of 2,612 feet per second. So there was a significant velocity loss there between the full-length rifle barrel and that 16-inch SOCOM16 barrel. But for the role that the SOCOM16 is intended for, that being close range use, that difference probably is not going to make that much difference in terms of effectiveness. With my match ammunition, the full-length rifle had an average velocity of 2549, and that's right where that rifle runs that ammunition. It's normally right at 2550, and that's essentially where it is here. Extreme spread of almost 20 feet per second, and a standard deviation of 7.81. And that ammunition does run very well in that full-length rifle. Switching over to the SOCOM16. Switching over to the SOCOM16, for some reason the chronograph did not record the velocity or the averages. Didn't compute the average or the extreme spread or anything like that. Just looking at the numbers, 2379, 2406, 2405, 2381, so it's running about 2400 feet per second. So that's about 150 feet per second of velocity loss between the 22-inch barrel on the full-size rifle and the SOCOM16 barrel with my match ammunition. So with the chronograph test done and over with, let's move on and do some more testing with the SOCOM16. Next, I want to try the SOCOM16 in some close-range CQB type drills, and what I've decided to do is shoot it through the Ohio Peace Officer Training Commission's Patrol Rifle Qualification course. Now, I've featured this course a couple of times in past videos, and I always have to add a couple of disclaimers at the beginning. First off, this is the standard that's set forth by the Ohio Peace Officer Training Commission for law enforcement officers here in the state of Ohio to qualify with a patrol rifle. I didn't dream this up, so if you don't like the course, it doesn't do any good to yell at me and tell me how much you don't like it. I don't particularly like it either, but for my purposes today, it does focus on relatively close range timed fire shooting, so I thought it might make a good yardstick for evaluating the SOCOM16. And here we go. This course starts out at a distance of 15 feet from the target. On the signal to fire, the shooter has to fire 3 shots into the body of the target in a time limit of 4 seconds. The next exercise takes place at a distance of 20 feet from the target. This time, on the signal to fire, the shooter has to fire 3 rounds into the head of the target in a time limit of 5 seconds. For stage 3, I'm back to a distance of 30 feet from the target. From here, on the signal to fire, I have to fire 2 shots to the body and 1 shot to the head in a time limit of 6 seconds. So this is a 30-foot failure drill with the SOCOM16. The next stage of the course is quite possibly the most awkward. I'm now at a distance of 50 feet from the target, and from this distance, on the signal to fire, I have to fire 2 shots into the body of the target left-handed. I don't think I've ever shot an M14 style rifle left-handed before in my life, so this should be a little bit of an experience, but I'll see if I can pull it off. The time limit for this stage is 5 seconds for those 2 shots. And I managed to pull my second shot off to the right side of the target. So that's 1 miss with the SOCOM16 on this rifle qualification course. The next 2 stages of this course are both fired at a distance of 25 yards from the target. The first exercise is simply a snap shooting drill. On the signal to fire, the shooter has 1.5 seconds to come from a low ready position and fire 1 round onto the body of the target. .26 seconds, I got it off, and the shot was good. The second drill, fired from this distance of 25 yards, requires a reload. The shooter again begins in the low ready position with 1 round in the chamber and 1 round in the magazine of the rifle. On the signal to fire, the shooter fires out both of those 2 rounds, at which point the rifle is empty. The shooter then drops to a kneeling position, reloads, and fires 3 more rounds into the body of the target from that kneeling position. This entire exercise has an overall time limit of 12 seconds. And as you saw, I could not get my reload in quickly enough to make that 12-second time limit. So that's going to count as 3 misses. With the one that I already have, that's 4. So I can only miss one more shot on this course and still qualify. And I've made it to the last stage in this course. I'm now back to a distance of 50 yards from the target. From here, on the signal to fire, I have to drop to a prone position and fire 3 rounds into the body of the target in a time limit of 10 seconds. And that is a passing score on this Ohio Peace Officer qualification course with the SOCOM16 rifle. Now, a couple of points I have to make at this time. One is, normally when I shoot this course with an AR-15 or an M4 style rifle, I shoot 100% and I shoot it very easily. This time with the SOCOM16, I had a miss and I had 3 saved rounds, which gives me a score of 16 out of a possible 20. So I really shoot this better with the AR style rifles, and I have to say it's easier with those rifles than it is with the SOCOM16. That said, I'm hitting with a lot more authority with this 308 cartridge than I ever would with the 556 cartridge out of the AR style rifles. So again, it's a little bit of a trade-off, but the SOCOM16 is certainly not uncontrollable, and obviously I can still qualify with it on this course. Well, since I still have some ammunition left and the batteries in my cameras aren't dead yet, I'm going to fire a few more exercises with the SOCOM16. I'm going to do a little bit of walking and shooting with it, and I'm also going to do some shooting with it from behind cover just to see how the SOCOM16 does in those type of drills. And there was no problem whatsoever keeping all of those shots on target. And at this point, I really am out of ammunition. So a couple of final parting shots about the SOCOM16. First off, it is not an AR-15 or an M4. And as I said a little while ago, it's not as easy to keep the shots on target as it is with an AR or an M4. But then again, with an AR or an M4, I'm shooting the 556mm NATO cartridge, and with the SOCOM16, I'm shooting that much more authoritative 7.62 cartridge. So it is hitting with a lot more oomph, but there's also a lot more oomph on the other end in terms of recoil. Now, the muzzle brake does do a very good job in helping to keep the muzzle from rising, but still, when you fire the SOCOM16, it rocks you a little bit more than an AR does, so it takes a little bit more time to get back on target for those follow-up shots. Also, something that I noticed with this FDE stock is there is some interference in the magazine well when I go to seat the magazine, and I'm not sure if this is something that will wear in eventually and it'll get easier to seat the magazines, or if this needs to be relieved a little bit, but that is one of the things that I think cost me some time and actually helped cost me those 3 shots in the reloading stage of the qualification course that I shot a little while ago. So in the end, as I said, this is not an M4, but it doesn't make any claims to be. It's a SOCOM16, and in that light, it is shorter, more compact, and easier handling than the full-size M14 rifle. And on we go. I'm now back out on the 100-yard range with the scoped SOCOM16 to give it another try and see if it can demonstrate some better accuracy than we saw the last time with it. Now there has been a change to this rifle since the last time you saw it. I swapped out the optic that was on here before for this brand new Vortex 2 to 7 power scout scope. This was actually provided to me by my friends at Optics Planet, and whenever you use that discount code that I give you at the end of the videos, that helps me to get equipment like this to test. There will be a review on this scope coming up in the near future, probably during a midweek update, so stay tuned for that. But what I'm going to be doing now is setting things up and getting things ready to test this accuracy again with the SOCOM16. I have several different types of match ammunition that I'm going to be using out here for this test. And between the ammunition and this new optic, I feel like I'm giving it the best chance possible to present the best accuracy that we can see from it. So give me a couple of minutes to get things ready to go and we'll start to shoot some groups. Oh, one thing, I do have several different types of match ammunition. It's doubtful that all of them are going to be hitting dead on where I have this scope zeroed. So I'm not going to try to center the groups. I'm really just going to be shooting for group size to see what kind of accuracy potential the SOCOM16 has. And first up in this accuracy test is some military M118 LR. This features a 175 grain match bullet. Let's see how it shoots out of the SOCOM16. Folks, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that match ammunition made a huge difference in the accuracy of that SOCOM16. The last time I had it out, it was shooting between 3 and 4 inches at 100 yards. The first 5 shots with that M118 LR is coming in at just over 1 1/4 inches center to center. It's about 1 3/8 inches center to center. So outstanding accuracy, and keep in mind that's not a match barrel in the SOCOM16. It's more or less just a standard cut down GI barrel, so we're seeing tremendous accuracy potential with the first match ammunition we've tried today. Next up is a load that I haven't tried before. This is Sig Sauer's Match 308 load. It features a 168 grain open tip match bullet, so I'm going to try it out in the SOCOM16 and we'll see what kind of accuracy we can get with it. And as you can see, that group is not nearly as impressive with that Sig Sauer match load. It's back to about 3.5 inches center to center from that distance of 100 yards. So let's move on and try something different. And the last load that I have today is from IMI. This is a 762mm NATO load, also featuring a 168 grain match bullet. So I'm going to give it a try and see how it performs out of the SOCOM16. And again, not real good accuracy from that IMI load. We've got a group that's probably about 3.5 or maybe 4 inches. About 3.25 inches center to center. So it appears that the SOCOM16 likes that heavier match bullet in the M118 LR, but the lighter 168 grainers just don't seem to be doing a whole lot in terms of accuracy with it. And that's pretty much going to wrap things up for this second and more in-depth accuracy test of the SOCOM16 rifle. And in the end, what I think I can say is if you find ammunition the SOCOM16 likes, it's capable of pretty impressive accuracy. This particular one has a preference for the heavier bullet of the M118LR. Again, that's a 175 grain match bullet. It didn't shoot the 168 grain match loads nearly as well. And that's also going to bring us to the end of part 2 of my review of the SOCOM16 rifles. I've enjoyed shooting both of these rifles, and I have to say at this point, thank you to my friend Ed who loaned these to me. I've enjoyed shooting them, and my impression at the end is if you like the M14 platform and you're looking for something that's a little bit lighter and a little easier to carry, these make a great package. They're a lot of fun, and you could certainly do a lot worse in terms of a general purpose carbine than the SOCOM16. And that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, as always, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you order anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it's good for 5% off anything you purchase from Optics Planet. See you next time, folks. And until then, good shooting. Bye-bye.